Welcome back, everyone. Ready to dive into something truly delicious. Today, we're cracking open the world of chocolate.
Ah, chocolate. I think we all know it's amazing, but today we're going beyond just, tasty.
Right, we're going full-on cocktail party chemistry, giving you those fascinating facts about chocolate, from bean to bar.
Exactly. Get ready to impress your friends with the science behind that melt-in-your-mouth goodness.
Love it. So, to kick things off, let's get down to the molecular level. What's actually going on in chocolate, chemically speaking?
Well, you know that feeling like chocolate gives you a little boost? Part of that is a compound called theobromine.
Theobromine. Is that like caffeine?
It's in the same family. Both are stimulus, but theobromine is gentler. Think of it as a long, slow energy release, not that jittery coffee feeling.
Okay, so there is some science to that chocolate pick-me-up, but what about all the talk about flavonoids in chocolate? Is that just hype?
No, flavonoids are the real deal. Powerful antioxidants, and dark chocolate is loaded with them. Way more than milk chocolate, by the way.
So dark chocolate is the healthier choice. Nice.
Yep, studies even suggest they could help with heart health, even brain function. But beyond health, the taste of chocolate. That's where things get super complex.
I was going to say every chocolate bar tastes different, right? What makes that happen?
Hundreds, literally hundreds of aroma compounds contribute to how we smell and taste chocolate. It's like a crazy symphony of chemicals going on.
Ah, so each type of bean, where it's grown, how it's processed, that all affects those aromas.
Exactly. That's why, say, a single origin bar from Madagascar will be totally different from your average milk chocolate.
Makes sense. But I thought we'd be talking about roasting by now. Isn't that where flavor comes from?
Roasting is key, but there's a crucial step before that. Most people don't even realize it: fermentation.
Fermentation. Like for beer.
Kind of. Before roasting, cocoa beans are fermented, usually in heaps covered with banana leaves. This breaks down complex sugars in the beans, and those are like the building blocks of chocolate flavor.
So the beans themselves don't taste like chocolate at first.
Not as we know it. Fermentation is what unlocks the potential for that classic chocolatey flavor to develop.
Wow, so it's similar to how grapes need fermentation to become wine.
Spot on. And just like with wine, different fermentation methods mean huge variations in the final chocolate. Craft chocolate makers really get into this, experimenting with different techniques.
Okay, so fermentation is like setting the stage. Then comes the roasting, right? I've heard of the Maillard reaction. Does that apply to chocolate?
Yes, roasting is all about the Maillard reaction in action. It's that magical browning process we see in bread, coffee, so many foods. Gives the toasty, nutty aroma and flavor.
Right, like when you bake bread and it gets that beautiful golden crust.
Exactly, but with chocolate, the temperature and time are critical. Too much heat and you get burnt flavors. Delicate balance, just like with fermentation.
I can relate to that. Burnt cookies, anyone.
We've all been there. But imagine ruining a whole batch of cocoa beans. That's why master roasters are like artists, carefully tweaking those variables to get the best flavor.
Okay, so we've fermented, we've roasted, the flavors are developing beautifully. What's next on this bean-to-bar journey?
Now we move on to something called conching. It's like the spa treatment for chocolate.
Spot treatment, tell me more.
Picture this: roasted chocolate being intensely mixed and ground, sometimes for days on end. This is what gives chocolate that incredibly smooth, melt-in-your-mouth texture we all crave.
So it's more than just the cocoa butter making it smooth? Conching is key.
Absolutely, like taking something rough and slowly polishing it to a luxurious sheen. But conching does more than just texture, it also develops the flavor even further.
Really? How does that work?
During conching, any unwanted volatile compounds, those that can create off flavors, they're driven off. The good stuff, those desirable flavor compounds, those get enhanced and rounded out.
So it's like fine-tuning the flavor, removing the rough edges and leaving pure chocolate bliss. Amazing.
It is. And speaking of the final product, our last stop on this chocolate adventure is tempering.
Ah, tempering. Now that's where I've had some kitchen disasters. What makes it so tricky?
Oh, I've been there too. It's all about those cocoa butter crystals we mentioned. Remember how they can form in different ways? Tempering is about controlling that process to get that glossy sheen, that satisfying snap when you break a piece, and a smooth melt.
So it's more than just melting the chocolate.
Much more. It's about carefully heating, cooling, and stirring the chocolate to encourage the formation of a specific type of crystal called Form V.
Form V sounds very technical.
It is, and those Form V crystals are what make all the difference. If you don't temper properly, you end up with a mix of different crystal types, and that's what gives you that grainy texture and dull appearance.
I've definitely seen that happen. So tempering is all about manipulating those tiny crystals for the ideal chocolate experience.
Exactly, and here's another fun fact. Different crystal forms of cocoa butter actually affect how quickly the chocolate melts.
So that's why some chocolate melts so fast while others linger.
Precisely. It's all about the chemistry of those crystals.
I never knew there was so much science behind something as simple as melting chocolate. It's incredible.
It is, and we've only scratched the surface of the wonders of chocolate.
Well, after this deep dive, I don't think I'll ever look at a chocolate bar the same way again. But before I raid my pantry, are there any myths about chocolate we should clear up?
Oh, definitely. One of the biggest misconceptions is that chocolate is inherently bad for you.
Yeah, because people think it's loaded with sugar and fat.
True, but remember those flavonoids? Especially in dark chocolate, those antioxidants have been linked to some real health benefits.
So it's like most things in life, moderation is key. A bit of good quality dark chocolate can be part of a healthy diet.
Absolutely. Quality ingredients, reasonable portions. And speaking of which, what about those percentages on dark chocolate? What does that 70% cacao really mean?
Yeah, I've always wondered that.
That percentage tells you how much of the chocolate comes from cacao beans. So a 70% bar has more cacao solids, that's the cocoa butter and non-fat solids combined, than a 50% bar.
So higher percentage equals stronger chocolate flavor.
Generally, yes. Higher percentages tend to be less sweet, with more of that bitterness and perplexity, like the difference between light roast coffee and dark roast.
So someone who loves milk chocolate might not enjoy a 90% bar.
Probably not. It's all about personal preference, but I always encourage trying different percentages to see what you like best.
Challenge accepted. Anything else about those percentages?
Well, remember those flavonoids. Generally, higher cacao percentage means more flavonoids. So if you're after those potential health benefits, that's something to keep in mind.
Good tip. Okay, last chocolate myth before we head to the store. Anything else we should debunk?
Ooh, the big one, white chocolate. Creamy, sweet, but I have a feeling you're going to tell me it's not real chocolate.
You know me too well. Spill the beans. What's the truth about white chocolate?
You're right. Technically, it's not true chocolate. It's got cocoa butter, but it's missing a key ingredient, chocolate liquor.
Chocolate liquor. What's that?
It's basically the paste you get from grinding cocoa beans. Contains both cocoa butter and cocoa solids, which give chocolate its flavor and color. It's the base of all real chocolate.
Ah, so white chocolate skips that crucial step.
Exactly. White chocolate is mostly cocoa butter, sugar, milk solids, maybe some vanilla. It's tasty, but it doesn't have those complex flavors or the theobromine found in real chocolate.
So it's more like a fancy cocoa butter treat.
That's a good way to put it. But hey, no judgment on what people enjoy. Call it white chocolate, cocoa butter, confection. It's still delicious.
True enough, but for me, I think I'll stick to dark chocolate. More of those good flavonoids and that real chocolate depth.
Excellent choice. Remember, the world of chocolate is huge. So much to discover, from single origin bars to flavored truffles to those fancy chocolate creations.
After this deep dive, I'm seeing chocolate in a whole new light. I can't wait to get on a chocolate adventure.
It's funny, right? White chocolate kind of makes you rethink what chocolate really is.
I know, it's like we take it for granted. But you mentioned before, chocolate's been around for ages, even without all the sugar and milk we had today.
Oh yeah, chocolate goes back thousands of years. The Mayans, the Aztecs, they were cultivating cocoa beans way back then.
Wow. So what was ancient chocolate like? I bet it wasn't your typical candy bar.
Not even close. They made a drink, but it was bitter, spicy, often mixed with chili peppers, other spices. It was a sacred drink used in rituals.
Whoa, that's intense. Not exactly a cozy hot chocolate night.
Right. More about the energy boost and cultural meaning. It wasn't till the 1500s, when chocolate got to Europe, that people started adding sugar. That's when it started getting sweeter, more like the treat we know.
So our modern chocolate is like centuries of evolution. Ancient traditions mixed with modern tastes.
Exactly. And along the way, we learned more about the chemistry of chocolate, too. That's how we refined those flavors, created all the variety we have today.
It's amazing how much history and culture is packed into one little bean. But thinking about all those types of chocolate, how do we even describe the flavors? I hear words like floral or earthy. Is there a whole language for tasting chocolate?
There is. Just like wine or coffee, chocolate has its own vocabulary. You'll hear citrusy, nutty, spicy, even leathery or tobacco for some really intense profiles.
Wow, sounds like I need a chocolate dictionary. But for someone just getting started, what should I pay attention to when tasting?
Well, as we've said, where the beans come from matters a lot. Look for single-origin chocolates. Those showcase the unique taste of beans from a specific region.
Oh, so it's like wine, where the terroir, the land where the grapes are grown, affects the taste.
Spot on. A good chocolate maker is like a sommelier. They can guide you through the flavors from different origins and roasts.
That's so cool. I'm definitely going to look for those origins now. But besides that, any other clues on a chocolate bar label?
The cacao percentage is always a good one. Like we said before, higher percentage usually means less sweet, more bitter, bolder flavor.
Right, those 85%, 90% bars, those are serious chocolate. I've also seen some labels that say light roast or dark roast. Does that affect the taste too?
Big time. Roasting is key for those chocolatey flavors. A lighter roast might have more delicate, floral, or fruity notes. Darker roast brings out those intense, roasted, even smoky flavors. It's all about the roaster's skill, finding the right balance for each bean.
It's like an art form. I can see why craft chocolate is so popular.
It truly is. Science meets passion for flavor. And the more you learn about chocolate, the more you'll notice those subtle differences.
I'm ready to level up my tasting game. Got to try different origins, percentages, roasts, so I can pick out those nuances.
That's the spirit. Pay attention to the texture, the aroma, how it melts. It's a whole experience.
This is blowing my mind. Like a secret code to unlock even more enjoyment from chocolate. But before I go full-on chocolate expert, one last thing. We've talked a lot about the chemistry, but what about the physical structure of chocolate? Does that matter?
Great question. We often get caught up in taste and smell, but how chocolate is built affects how we experience it. Ever noticed how some chocolate snaps cleanly when you break it, while others kind of crumble?
Yes. What causes that? Those cocoa butter crystals again.
Bingo! Remember tempering. That directly affects the chocolate's crystalline structure, which in turn determines how it breaks. Well-tempered chocolate with those neat form V crystals snaps nice and clean.
So it's not just about looks, but the sound, the feel with the break is part of it too.
Totally. It's all down to those tiny crystals and how they're arranged. And that structure also affects how chocolate melts in your mouth.
Now that you mention it, I have noticed that. Some melt super fast, others kind of linger and coat your mouth.
Exactly. The crystal size and arrangement affect the melting point and how the chocolate interacts with your taste buds. Some are meant to be quick bursts of flavor, others melt slowly, letting those flavors build.
It's incredible how those tiny details make such a difference. I'm seeing chocolate in a whole new way, literally.
Isn't it fascinating? The more we learn, the more we realize there's so much to discover, even in something familiar.
So even after all these years of eating chocolate, we're still figuring things out.
That's the beauty of science. Always new frontiers to explore. And with something as delicious and complex as chocolate, who wouldn't want to keep learning?
I'm totally on board. This deep dive has made me even more curious about chocolate. What other discoveries are waiting to be made? It really makes you think, something we enjoy so casually, there's this whole world of history and science behind it, and we've only just dipped our toes in.
That's what I love about food science. Always more to uncover, new connections to make, even a little mystery sometimes.
Okay, now I'm really curious. What are some of those big chocolate mystery scientists are working on right now?
One of the most important areas is sustainability, making sure we get chocolate in a way that's good for people and the planet. Especially as demand grows, we got to make sure cocoa farmers are treated fairly and the environment is protected.
Yeah, I've seen that with coffee and other foods too. It's good to hear the chocolate industry is on board with that.
Definitely. Consumers are getting more aware, demanding transparency. Researchers are working on new farming techniques to increase yield but reduce environmental impact. And those fair trade certifications are becoming more and more important.
So it's not just about the taste anymore. Choosing ethical, sustainable chocolate, that's part of it too.
Exactly. Our choices as consumers have power. By supporting companies that do things right, we can push the whole industry in a better direction.
That's pretty cool. But besides sustainability, any other exciting stuff happening in chocolate research?
Lots of interest in the potential health benefits of chocolate, especially those flavonoids we talked about.
Right, those antioxidants. You mentioned heart health, brain function, anything else?
Researchers are looking into mood-boosting effects, cognitive performance, even possible links to reducing certain cancer risks. Still early days, more research needed, but it's exciting.
So chocolate, the health food, I like the sound of that. But gotta ask, any downsides, calories, sugar, all that?
Of course, moderation is always key. Chocolate's a treat, enjoy it as part of a balanced diet. And like we said, higher cacao percentage usually means less sugar. But beyond the nutritional stuff, there's the sensory overload aspect too.
Sensory overload with chocolate.
Think about it. So much variety, so many flavors, textures. It can be overwhelming. Origins, percentages, different roasts. Where do you even start?
I get it. Like walking into a giant wine shop and being totally lost. Any tips for navigating all that chocolate goodness?
Treat it like any culinary adventure. Start small, build your way up. Try a few single origin bars. Notice how they taste different. Play around with cacao percentages. See what you like. And don't be afraid to get adventurous. Try something totally new.
Great advice. It's about the journey, not just finding that perfect bar. But speaking of the journey, we've covered so much. Chemistry, history, health, taste. What's the one big takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with?
I think it's this. Appreciate the incredible complexity and artistry behind every piece of chocolate. It's not just candy. It's the result of traditions, scientific smarts, and a passion for flavor. Next time you have some chocolate, think about the journey it took to get to you. From bean to bar, all the people and steps involved. It's pretty amazing.
That's a beautiful way to put it. Reminds us that food is more than just fuel. It's a story, a science, an art.
Exactly. And understanding the science just makes it even more enjoyable.
This deep dive has definitely changed how I see and taste chocolate.
I'm so glad to hear that. And remember, there's always more to learn and explore in the world of chocolate.
On that note, it's time to wrap up our chocolate-filled deep dive. But listeners, don't stop here. Visit a local chocolatier, grab a new bar, maybe even try making some chocolate at home.
And most importantly, savor every bite. You're experiencing the magic of flavor and science all rolled into one.
Happy tasting, everyone. CMPII.